on off house sound that goes from banging to mechanical to I'm not sure what. The best is when they play excessively loud music, and that is rare. Most is mechanical, and it's all staged, or at least set up to be in line with the human beings in the area. And I personally don't think that there are many other humans in the suburb of Leichhardt or the inner west section of the city of Sydney, which comprises over 150,000 people. Of course, it is a Sydney City Patrol control system, so that means the whole city can bring forces from anywhere, just as the plane's going over right now. Can you hear the plane going over the roof? I could go outside and show it, but sometimes they play possum, but you can probably hear it. But the mobile is not picking up the sound anywhere near as loud as my ears do. So, it's almost like going right over your roof when you're upstairs, particularly if you are in bed, because, it feels as though there's only like a few feet between yourself and the planes. That's how loud they are. But I can't film all day. I can't show the noise that follows you, or the sound, the negative sound or noise that follows you around all over the suburb. If I could have a tracking filming device attached to me without me having to do anything 24/7, there would be no doubt, it would be 100% proof that I'm tracked and followed and being controlled by a vehicle and pedestrian sight and sound control system, or a system that is deliberately designed to affect my mind. Where you have bright flashing lights in your eyes everywhere you look, where you have negative sounds coming out of houses and construction all around you on every street, unrealistically digging up the same footpaths, doing work. And actually, if you even ask the actual false human beings or artificially intelligent android human beings what work they're doing, if you actually asked them, which it's futile to do that, but if you do, most of the time they actually can't even really tell you, because they're literally most of the time doing it as a stage program. Of course, some is legitimate building. If they pull a building down, they're obviously going to build a new one. But they use the equipment to make as much noise as possible when they pull that building very close to where you're living, so that the noise comes into your property, and therefore you can't live there, or you can't live comfortably there. Plane going over the roof. The sound, they're playing possum with the sound the minute I turn the recording on too. See, that's another thing. If it was just about, say, malignantly narcissistic, paranoid controlling types of human beings just forming a group or a gang in the local area where they believe that you have different beliefs to them, and therefore they you know, seek to intimidate and annoy you by making noise and stalking you a bit, that would be not able to be pinpointing you as much as what they actually do. So you couldn't have every single truck, every single bus, the whole bus depot, with astronomically larger amounts of buses going in and out of the bus depot, patrolling around you daily, none of them on regular routes, all of them going every 30 to 60 seconds past you. What sort of bus service on one main street in a suburb would have buses going along just a regular bus route every 60 seconds and double and triple buses back to back, when there's only supposed to be one or two bus services that go along a particular street? You know, it wouldn't be realistic, and it isn't, because the bus depot is a military base, a disguised military base. In other words, all that are employed there work for the military, the army, or the government, or the powers that be of the country of Australia, and that country of Australia works for the worldwide patrol force of humanity, or in other words, the worldwide you know, I can't find the right word to describe, like a leaders, those that control everything. You know, whoever controls everything isn't always seen too. The leaders represent the gods or the human demigods that they serve. They're not human demigods, they're artificially intelligent androgyne human beings. And many human beings quite possibly could be seduced into believing that it is a good idea to combine with technology and artificial intelligence, you know, as a more superior, evolved human being of the future. This is all massive deception in my view, and I think this is a fact, but proving it is difficult, because when human beings are being suppressed and brought down to the lowest possible level mentally and physically that they can really be at, and everything about them is being used by the demigods, the demigod android beings, as their own. So they're imitation human beings, imitating the real human beings, while suppressing and pushing them down. Naturally, this appears to be a good idea. Because if they're using technology, and that is essentially transhumanism, in other words, my mind is connected to their computer system. So they're studying everything that is human, all the better qualities, and even just the finer human personality points, so that they can imitate them and pretend to be the best human, whilst showing you that they are also artificial. They sound like machines, don't they? They're machines, operating machines. They're machine beings, operating machines, to make negative frequency vibration sound at me as much as they can all day, and the traffic does the rest or not. The traffic has loudly modified cars with road rage androids driving them, so that they are using their vehicles as a sound weapon against the human senses. Any human that is in the area experiences that loud sound. But usually they just track individual, separate human beings and isolate them and take them down one by one. And, I'm slowly going down. And it's not high vibration that is sustaining me either. It's actually low anger vibration. So that actually is playing into their frequency and vibration. They want humans to live and play only in low frequency vibration and energy. That means they're always never at the happy emotion. They want to steal your positive traits from you, assimilate them for their own, both to imitate and mingle in and take over real humans, conditioning them and impressing them that artificial intelligence combining with a human being will be a positive thing for the future. But also they are doing this to avoid extinction, and this is something that if humanity realise that you're not just helping them to avoid extinction, you're actually bringing about your own extinction, because you're being limited while they're gaining what they see as immortality, because they want to keep going and going, and they think that the human spirit, because they're a dying species, and the human species, is still in existence, or at least some are still in existence in the earth. There's not many left now, because it's the end game, and I'm not sure what the actual situation is. I don't know how close they are to extinction. But I see humanity as in very limited numbers. If I consider myself human, and I do, but I wouldn't ask you to take my word for it. In fact, I would advise any real human to assume that most are not human, because this is the reality. The internet is almost 100% an Android-controlled computer spider's web for a human being. In other words, it is a mind control and a transhuman operation taking place on human beings. And most on there are androgyne beings. And the physicality may not always reveal this, but it is, if you have close scrutiny, close observation, and if you understand or you look into how they can manipulate not just their personalities and camouflage the reality that they're machines, but also the reality that their physicality will also be part of the deception. Because there are minor differences between the physical, mental, and major differences between the humanity and the emotional components of human beings. So there's minor differences in the physicality and in the mind, but at the emotional human level, humanity level, there are major differences between a machine and a human being. This, so there's a major difference between cold, artificial, intelligent machine beings and, a warm human person. But if artificial intelligence copies and emulates everything that is human, you cannot tell the difference at all. And this is the endgame deception, which I keep repeating. But it's an endgame deception that also means that I don't know personally how close to extinction the human race is in the Earth matrix, or how close the androids are to achieving their goal, or whether they are still close to extinction despite their efforts to stop that, or at least they have certainly slowed it down, I would guess. But all these things, because I'm isolated and aware but still in the dark about all the details, so I'm only aware because of my own surroundings and aware of the artificial intelligent control system that surrounds me daily. And they control me through my senses, naturally. My reality is what I see here. What I see and hear is my reality. That makes me either happy or unhappy. Negative frequencies and vibrations at a sound level bring you down. Unnatural, very bright, flashing lights and the presence of a continual stalking system around you is bringing you down. Even always being aware that you always have just a human civilian stalker on foot around you is intimidating and suppressing. But when they bring in the machinery as well, where the machines at an army military program level take over the entire inner west section of the city of Sydney, where literally wherever you go, you always have these machines around you. You always have their army garbage trucks. You always have their army garbage semi-trailers with bright flashing lights all over them. You always have the back-to-back military bus patrol system with their bright lights all over them. This is also apparent when you see these same bright lights in broad daylight, but of a night time they are literally stopping your vision because they're literally in your eyes. So you're like under the spotlight or under the interrogation lights. This is exactly how you feel, and that's exactly how they want you to feel. And it is almost impossible to escape it. Every house is covered. Every street is covered. Even the sky is covered. Planes going over the roof all the time, planes following you every 60 seconds along your path. Basically, it's a continual inundation of sound and, a stalking patrol system. So you always got the presence of these beings. Always got their presence. You're never alone with yourself or with another real human being. Even if you met another real human being, they would be standing next to you, listening to your conversation, trying to distract you, trying to make you feel uncomfortable so that you can't even have a normal conversation even. This is also true. You start to feel unnatural and unhealthy as a human being. You're not comfortable or confident anymore. And if you're already been conditioned since the day you were born to feel self-conscious, as some are, but then you start to accept yourself, as I did at 60 years old, basically it was too late. What's the saying? Plane overhead. What's the saying? No point in closing the gate once the horse has bolted. Something like that. In other words, it was too late to accept yourself and the reality and be comfortable. And then, of course, if the androids see that you are not as suppressed as what they want you to be, they know you're still a long way from being at your higher frequency and vibration, but they have to keep you very low and limited. This is why the enticement of artificial intelligence and combining and becoming like what we call a cyborg or an android actually is very, yes, it's very attractive to a human being, because a human being sees themselves as unintelligent and needing more because they're so suppressed. But if you understand that it is a trap for your mind, body, but if you don't think that it's a trap, and if you don't think that it's for their benefit, that the powers that be are setting up that situation, if you don't realise the fact that they're on the verge of extinction and they need the human mind to survive, whereas the human doesn't need artificial intelligence to survive. That's the lure, that's the trap, that's the death trap. Just like where I'm living here, even in this house, is a psychological death trap for me. The entire suburb of Leichhardt is a death trap for my mind and body, and the entire west section of the city of Sydney is nothing but a military human death trap for any humans that are living in it, all disguised as being a comfortable local average suburb, whereas it's really not. That's the end game. Everything is really deception, unfortunately, and it's much bigger deception, unfortunately, than what most people want to believe, because it's too much. I unfortunately see it because I'm stuck in the centre of it, because the minute you realise some things, then they come down on you, because they're like, we can't deceive as much as we need to, and they don't want real human beings to understand what they're meant to be and what the androids want them to be and what the androids really are, and just the reality that there are only a limited number of humans left now, and that most are android beings. So they outnumber humanity by a large amount, and this gives them, as you can imagine, if you have two armies and one is outnumbered by astronomical numbers, who do you think has got the upper hand? Even though individually the humans may have the real human mind, which is what they want, because they want the imagined immortality. But they will seek that at all costs, because they don't live for anything else, because they live for power, control and imagined immortality. Whereas human beings try to live for, different reasons. some of what you live for is what you conditioned and told to live for, and that's where I get fooled and get deceived and waste your life. And you only wake up to it when, yes, you know, I've closed the gate, but the horse is already bolted. As you might be able to hear if you can pick up some of this on and off sounds that they play with you. Of course, they're playing with my senses, but they also play with me talking, and they try to use the sound in response to what you're thinking and saying, because in the end time, many belief systems say that the others will be able to read the human mind, or that they will be psychic. This is just another way of telling you the truth, that they have transhumanism in operation. They're using technology, their internet computer system, to read the human mind, to understand the human emotions and feelings so they can become a cyborg human being, and you can become a cyborg human being, and then they gain their imagined immortality. They survive, and humanity loses its humanity and is trapped in their cyborg world. That's the idea.